As of 10:25 a.m. Eastern Time on October 6, 2025, Advanced Micro Devices, trading under the ticker AMD, is priced at $209.28, representing an astonishing intraday surge of $44.61, or over 27%. The volume is incredibly heavy, already exceeding 117 million shares. Now, a move of this magnitude naturally grabs headlines, and the immediate assumption for many watching this unfold is that this is purely a reaction to the monumental news that just broke. And while that's a massive part of the story, the reality of what's happening under the surface is far more complex and speaks to a tectonic shift in the semiconductor landscape that has been building for months. The expectation is that today's news is a singular event, but the deeper truth is that this is the culmination of a strategic repositioning that has now forced the entire market to reevaluate what it thought it knew about the balance of power in artificial intelligence. Let's be perfectly clear. The announcement of a multi-year AI chip supply deal with OpenAI is a watershed moment. This isn't just another customer win. OpenAI, the entity behind ChatGPT and a vanguard of generative AI, has effectively given AMD its most significant endorsement to date. The agreement, which covers the deployment of hundreds of thousands of AMD's AI chips, equivalent to 6 gigawatts of power, and gives OpenAI the option to acquire up to a 10% stake in AMD, is a direct challenge to the long-held dominance of Nvidia. For years, the common belief, the one that has governed countless investment decisions made through platforms like Schwab Intelligent Portfolios, Fidelity Investments, and Robinhood, was that Nvidia's CUDA software ecosystem created an impenetrable moat. The narrative was that even if a competitor like AMD produced comparable hardware, the software and developer loyalty would keep Nvidia on top. Today, that expectation has been shattered. OpenAI's commitment signals that AMD's hardware, particularly its forthcoming MI450 series, combined with its own ROCm open software platform, is not just a viable alternative, but a desirable one at the highest echelons of AI development. The market is reacting with explosive force, but let's dissect the intraday action. The stock gapped up at the open, hitting a new 52-week high of $226.70 before seeing some profit-taking that brought it down to its current level. This isn't just retail euphoria seen on apps like the Robinhood app or SoFi Invest. This is institutional capital being redeployed at a furious pace. We're seeing trading volumes that dwarf the daily average, indicating that large funds and asset managers are fundamentally altering their semiconductor allocations. Portfolio managers who have been heavily weighted in Nvidia stock are now being forced to hedge or diversify, and AMD is the primary beneficiary. For many self-investing individuals using online investment platforms, this validates a long-held belief in AMD's potential, but for the broader market, it's a wake-up call. The competitive landscape is no longer a one-horse race. This creates a new dynamic for those seeking investment help, as the simple buy Nvidia for AI now requires a more nuanced approach. This dramatic ascent isn't happening in a vacuum. For the past several quarters, while the spotlight has been on Nvidia's astronomical earnings beats, AMD has been methodically executing its strategy. The company has been steadily gaining CPU market share from Intel, particularly in the high-margin data center segment with its EPYC processors. Recent data from the Steam Hardware Survey, a bellwether for PC gaming trends, shows Intel CPU share slipping to a record low, while AMD's continues to climb. This consistent performance in its core businesses provided a stable foundation. The expectation was that AMD would remain a strong number 2 in CPUs and a distant, though credible, competitor in GPUs. The reality now unfolding is that its data center growth, which saw a 61% year-over-year revenue increase in the most recent quarter, was merely the prelude. The OpenAI deal transforms the narrative from AMD being a competitor to being a co-leader in the AI acceleration market. This is the kind of catalyst that fundamentally alters valuation multiples and forces analysts to revise their models, something active traders on platforms like Interactive Brokers live for. Let's briefly touch upon what AMD actually does for those who might be new to this story. Advanced Micro Devices is a global semiconductor company that designs and develops high-performance computing and graphics technologies. Its main products include central processing units, CPUs, for personal computers and servers, graphics processing units, GPUs, for gaming and data centers, and the semi-custom chips that power major gaming consoles like the Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox. For a long time, the company was seen as the scrappy underdog to the behemoth Intel in the CPU space. Under the leadership of CEO Dr. Lisa Su, AMD orchestrated one of the most remarkable corporate turnarounds in recent history, moving from the brink of irrelevance to technological leadership with its Zen architecture. The acquisition of Xilinx further diversified its portfolio into adaptive computing, strengthening its position in key markets like automotive and industrial applications. The company's business model is fabless, meaning it designs the chips but outsources the manufacturing, primarily to Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, TSMC, allowing it to focus on research and development. This model contrasts with Intel's traditional integrated device manufacturer approach, though recent reports suggest a potential and ironic manufacturing partnership between AMD and Intel's foundry services could be on the horizon. This ability to innovate and adapt is what has allowed AMD to consistently defy expectations. The Fidelity ETFs and Fidelity mutual funds that have held AMD have been rewarded for this long-term vision. Now, looking ahead, what does this new reality mean for the future? The immediate future is incredibly bright, but not without its complexities. The OpenAI deal, set to begin generating revenue in the second half of 2026, provides a massive long-term revenue stream. AMD executives are projecting that this deal alone could net tens of billions in annual revenue, and they anticipate a ripple effect that could bring in over $100 billion in new revenue over 4 years from other customers. This drastically changes the company's financial trajectory. However, the execution risk is substantial. Ramping up production to meet this demand will be a monumental task, requiring flawless coordination with manufacturing partners. Any supply chain disruption or manufacturing yield issue could create significant headwinds. Platforms like SoFi Investing and those offering intelligent portfolio solutions will need to factor this execution risk into their models. Furthermore, the competitive response will be fierce. Nvidia is not a company that will cede its dominance lightly. It will undoubtedly accelerate its own product roadmap and leverage its deep relationships across the industry. Intel, too, is fighting a multi-front war to regain its footing in both CPUs and enter the AI accelerator market. The semiconductor industry is notoriously cyclical and intensely competitive. While today feels like a crowning achievement for AMD, the battle is far from over. Investors considering opening a new individual brokerage account to buy into this rally must understand that volatility will remain high. The tension between the incredible expectations set by the OpenAI partnership and the reality of executing on that promise will define the stock's performance for the next several years. What do you think? Comment below on whether you believe AMD can successfully capture a significant portion of the AI accelerator market from Nvidia over the next 5 years. In summary, the explosive move in AMD stock today is far more than a simple reaction to a positive headline. It is the market's sudden and violent repricing of a company that has been systematically dismantled the expectations that have defined the semiconductor industry for a decade. The prevailing belief was that AMD was a strong second-place player, a credible alternative, but not a true threat to Nvidia's AI throne. The reality, cemented by the OpenAI partnership, is that AMD has emerged as a co-equal force, possessing the technology and now the ultimate validation to command a significant share of the most important market in technology. While the path forward involves significant challenges related to execution and competition, the landscape has been irreversibly altered. The narrative has shifted from a story of a successful turnaround to the story of a new leader in high-performance computing, fundamentally changing the investment calculus for anyone with exposure to technology, from individual traders on the Robinhood app to the largest institutional funds managed by firms like Fidelity. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, and your support means a lot. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not financial or investment advice. Please analyze carefully and consult a professional before making any investment decisions.